My name is Elina. I'm 23 years old, living in a city that never really sleeps. It's always loud, always moving, yet my life used to feel so still, quiet in a way that felt both comforting and lonely. I work in a small flower shop tucked between two tall buildings. Every day I'm surrounded by the soft scent of roses, lilies, and fresh greenery. I love arranging flowers, tiny acts of beauty made for birthdays, apologies, and declarations of love. Love, to me, always felt like the most delicate bloom, something rare, fragile, and worth protecting. My world was small, just my mother and me. My father passed away when I was very young. My mom, a quiet but resilient woman, raised me with steady hands and soft eyes. She always said, "Hearts break easily, Elina. Be gentle with yours." I never really understood what she meant, until now. Most of my days looked the same. Work at the flower shop, return to my little apartment, read a book, and occasionally have tea with my best friend, Mira. It was a peaceful life, but deep inside I longed for more. I dreamed of the kind of love I read about in stories. Love that made you feel like the world was new again. Then came Nathan. It was a rainy Tuesday when he first stepped into the flower shop. He was looking for flowers for his mother's birthday and seemed completely unsure of what to choose. His dark hair curled slightly from the rain, and his eyes had this kindness that made my chest ache. I helped him pick out bright yellow tulips. "Yellow means happiness," I told him. He smiled, really smiled. "Thank you. I'm Nathan." "I'm Elina," I replied, my cheeks warming. He came back the following week just to thank me. Said his mom loved the tulips. This time he bought a small potted plant. We chatted a little about rain, colors, plants. It was surprisingly easy. Soon he started coming by often. Sometimes he bought flowers. Sometimes he just came to say hello. We got to know each other. He worked in construction, building homes, and told me he dreamed of building one for himself someday. I told him about my own quiet dream, of maybe opening a garden cafe someday, filled with flowers and soft music. "You have a gentle way with living things, Elina," he said once. "You'd make that place beautiful." He made me feel seen, like I wasn't just the quiet girl behind the counter. We started meeting outside the shop, walks in the park, long talks over the best hot chocolate in the city. He held my hand one evening as we walked. It felt right. 6 months after we met, while sitting on a riverside bench, he looked at me and said, "I know it hasn't been long, but I've fallen in love with you." My heart soared. "I love you too, Nathan," I whispered. Those were the happiest months of my life. We spoke of the future, living together, him building us a small house with a garden for my flowers. It felt like everything I'd ever wanted was finally within reach. Then 2 months ago, he told me he had to leave for a job in another city. Just for 3 or 4 months. The pay was good, enough to help us save for our dream. "Do you have to go?" I asked, trying not to cry. He held me. "I'll miss you like crazy. But think about it. This will bring us closer to our future. I'll call you every night. I promise. Just wait for me, Elina." I said yes. Of course I would wait. At first, he kept his promise. Every night we talked. He sent pictures, told me about the project. I told him about the shop. But slowly, things changed. Calls got shorter. Some nights they didn't come at all. "He's busy," I told myself. "He's tired. He still loves me." But doubt crept in. One evening he didn't call, then not the next night either. I messaged him. No reply. Tried calling. Voicemail. My heart pounded with fear. What if something happened? 3 days of silence. I couldn't sleep. Then, finally, a message. "Elina, I'm okay, need some space. We'll contact you soon." "No, I love you." "No, I'm sorry, just space." Confusion flooded me. Space. From what? From me? I texted back, called, begged for a reply, nothing. Days passed, then a message. Meet me Friday. 3 p.m., the oak tree bench. We need to talk. Hope returned. Maybe he was just overwhelmed. Maybe he missed me. Maybe he was coming back. I said, "Okay, Nathan, I'll be there." The wait for Friday was unbearable. I wore the blue dress he once said he liked. Did my hair, added a bit of makeup. I wanted to look like someone worth staying for. I reached the park early. Our bench by the oak tree was empty. My heart thudded in my chest. 3 p.m. No Nathan. Maybe he was late. 3:15, nothing. 3:30. Rain began to fall. I sat through it, cold, wet, trembling. Still, no sign of him, no call, no message. 4 o'clock, 4:30, nothing. The park emptied around me, but I remained soaked and shivering. Finally, the truth settled in like the rain in my bones. He wasn't late. He wasn't stuck. He just wasn't coming. He chose not to come. He chose silence over goodbye. With shaking legs, I stood. The bench was empty, but my heart felt even emptier. I looked up at the sky, now pouring, and felt the tears mix with rain on my face. He made a promise. He broke it. And still I waited. But I would wait no longer. The days after that felt like walking through fog. Everything moved around me, but I stayed still, numb, silent, fragile. The flower shop didn't stop. Orders came in, people smiled, birthdays and weddings still happened. But I was no longer fully there. Mira noticed. She always does. One evening, as we sat in my apartment with untouched tea growing cold, she reached across the table and held my hand. "You're not weak for loving him," she said. "But Elina, don't let his silence become your story." Those words sat with me. Not right away, but like a seed buried deep. It took time, water, and light to grow. I stopped waiting for his message. I didn't block him. I didn't delete our photos. I just stopped feeding the ache. Slowly, I began to reclaim the parts of myself I had set aside. I started journaling again. Writing felt like breathing after drowning. I wrote letters to him I'd never send. I cried. I forgave, not for him, but for me. One letter I wrote said, "You were a chapter, Nathan, not the whole book. And even though your exit was quiet, my healing will be loud, beautiful, full of bloom." I threw it into the river. Weeks passed, then months. The pain didn't vanish, but it softened. Like a scar, it became part of me, not the whole of me. I began working on a little side project, a small indoor garden corner at the shop, with benches and tea. Just a start. But it was my dream again. Customers began sitting there. One woman said, "This feels peaceful, like a place where hearts can breathe." And I smiled, really smiled, for the first time in a long while. One afternoon, a customer brought me a book as thanks. On the first page, a quote was handwritten. "Sometimes the person you become after heartbreak is the person you were always meant to be." I stood there in the middle of the shop, tears gently falling, not out of pain this time, but out of pride. Because she was right. Nathan left, but I stayed. I bloomed. Spring came slowly, like a soft breath after a long sigh. The garden corner bloomed with soft lavender, trailing ivy, and tiny yellow daisies, my favorite. People started calling it Elina's Corner. It wasn't meant to be named, but somehow it felt right. Every part of it had a piece of me in it, pain, healing, and quiet hope. One day, an older woman came into the shop with trembling hands. She said her husband had passed the year before, and flowers helped her feel close to him. I sat with her, in Elina's corner, just listening. We didn't speak much, but that silence, unlike the one Nathan left behind, was full of understanding. That was when I realized Healing isn't about erasing pain. It's about turning it into something soft, something that can hold others too. Then came a man named Aiden. He wasn't loud. He didn't make grand entrances. He came in to buy flowers for his mother and asked gently about the meaning of peonies. Then he came back a week later, not for flowers, but for coffee in Elina's corner. We talked, slowly, like morning light filling a quiet room. He didn't try to fix me. He never rushed my silences. He simply stayed. One day, while we were watering the ivy together, he looked at me and said, "You make broken things beautiful again." And I realized, so had I. Nathan became a closed chapter, no longer bleeding ink onto my pages. His silence taught me how to listen to myself. And Aiden? Maybe he'd be a new chapter, or maybe not. But it didn't matter anymore, because Elina was whole. Not because someone stayed, but because she stayed with herself. Days turned into weeks. Nathan never came back, not to explain, not to apologize. And maybe that was the answer I was too afraid to face. But I didn't collapse this time. The old Elina might have waited, begged the universe for a reason. But this Elina, she started walking, not away from the pain, but through it. I took down the painting we once chose together and replaced it with my own sketch. Imperfect, messy, but mine. I closed the chapter he wrote in my life and started one without him in the margins. One evening, I sat alone on the balcony, the place where we used to dream together. Now I dreamed alone. But the silence didn't hurt the same anymore. It felt like peace. I wrote Nathan one last letter. I didn't send it. I wrote it for myself. You broke me, but I rebuilt myself. You disappeared, but I found me. You left without goodbye, but I say it now, not with hate, but with freedom. Goodbye, Nathan. Thank you for leaving. And with that, I let go, not of the past, but of the weight I carried from it. This story isn't about a lost love anymore. It's about a woman who learned that the most powerful kind of love is the one you give to yourself.